You're listening to episode 252 of the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman.
Okay.
On today's podcast, I'm joined by Nermina Pieters-Mekic, who is many things, which we're going to talk about. But she's also just launched a very exciting new brand called Equidae London. But thank you so much for joining me today. It's awesome to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
So I don't really know where to start, because you are, in addition to the founder of a new brand, you're also a singer, songwriter, TV star, you're a model. Can you just talk to us about you? Where did everything start?
Oh gosh, I always feel like you always have different chapters of your life.
Yeah.
And like I grew up in the Netherlands. I studied there. I did law, which is completely different to what I do now. And then I moved here. And when I was younger, I always did some modeling. I did music. So it was always a big part of my life. And when I moved to the UK with my husband, I did my modeling. I got in touch with the Real Housewives of Cheshire. I was one of the cast members. And I think, like life happens, you do all these different things. I always love music. So I've put all my attention and time into the music side, and I recorded all these songs. And then, of course, I've done my modeling besides that. And now I have the brand. So I feel like I had all these different chapters of my life where I kind of focus on all these passions that I have as a individual, as a person, I guess.
And you're a mum as well, to a lovely little
I'm a
person.
mom. Yes, a mom. And I think from all the things that I've ever done, that's the best job in the world. Honestly, I've enjoyed it so much. And it's one of those things that happens to you and you don't realize how amazing it is till you're a mom yourself. And everyone says it to you, like, oh gosh, wait till you have kids and it's the best thing in the world. But it is honestly the best thing that ever happened to me.
Oh, I love that.
Mm.
And you're horsey as well, as in you're properly horsey. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes. Yeah, I've ridden since I was 5 years old. It's one of those things that I don't come from a horsey family. My parents are not horsey at all, but from my dad's sister's sides, my nieces, and they were all very horsey. So when I was younger, I would always go with them, and I would always like sit on the horses. And once I was old enough to get lessons, it's something that I've always done. I've never stopped a day in my life, and horses are probably the only thing that were very kind of the same the whole time, like since I was 5 till now. It never stopped. It's always been there in my life. And even when I was pregnant, I rode till I was 7 months pregnant. And once I had the baby, I was back on straight away.
Oh, wow. So they've
Yeah.
been a real guiding point, or a constant in your life. And did you always have in mind that you wanted to do something in the equestrian space?
I think not in the way that I had it, like how I have the brand right now. I think I've always ridden and I love horses, and I've competed, and it's been always a constant thing in my life that I love to do. And there was always this voice in my head that would hope that I could do it full time, or I can kind of, like make it my work. But as a professional rider, I probably wouldn't be good enough. I mean, I love my show jumping, I love the riding. I'm just probably not good enough to be a professional rider, even though I compete quite decently, I think. But I don't think I'm good enough to be a professional rider. And I don't know if I would enjoy it as much as I do now, because now I have 1 or 2 horses to ride, and I give them all my time and attention, and I have a life besides that as well. So I think, no, I never thought I would have my own clothing brand, an equestrian fashion brand like I have right now. But it kind of makes sense if I think about it right now. I've always loved fashion. I've modeled. I love nice clothes. I love horses. And putting these two things, these two passions together, I created this brand that I absolutely love and that I'm so passionate about. So looking back, it kind of makes sense that I'm here right now, because I love this fashion side. I love nice clothes. I love looking good. I love to do all the modeling side of it. But in the same time, I love horses so much as well. So yeah, that's how it kind of happened, I guess.
So what was the catalyst? Because, we can look at the equestrian clothing accessories space, and there are lots of different brands there. But
Yeah.
what was your vision for Equidae? What did you think, I'm going to bring something different? How did that kind of evolve?
I really wanted to create a brand that kind of fits in the world where we live right now. It started all in lockdown. I was very lucky to be sponsored by all these amazing brands, and I was always gifted with all these amazing clothes. And it was actually my husband who actually turned around. He was like, "Gosh, you always wear horsey clothes." He's like, "I don't ever see you in anything else. If you're not in your gym gear, then you're in your horsey clothes." And I was like, "Well, yeah, actually, I am, because that's what I do every day. I go to the gym, I ride my horses, and of course, I look quite glamorous from time to time if I have a certain event or something. But in general, I'm with my horses every day, so I always wear it." So that's how the idea started. I was like, well, actually, I can maybe bring something different to the market. Maybe I could, I don't want to invent a new wheel. We always wear breeches, we wear leggings, we wear these things, but maybe I could put my own personal touch to it. And also looking at how the fashion is moving right now, I feel like we're looking at the sustainable side of things. We're looking at all these different factors that are so important. I think we do want to know right now how products are being made and what the work circumstances are of people that are making our clothes. And I think we're much more conscious at the moment about the way that we buy things and when we buy things. I think it's such a big factor at the moment in the industry that's changing, not in the equestrian world especially, I think, but in the fashion world in general. I think we're moving much more towards that side where we're much more aware about the products that we buy. So I really wanted to create a brand that looks fashionable and looks like a boutique piece almost, but it's functional as well. So you can wear it when you're riding. It feels comfortable. And I remember saying to the people that when I was talking about the brand, I wanted a professional rider when they opened a wardrobe and they had like 10 horses to ride, or the amateur rider that wants to go for a nice hack. I wanted them to pick my brand and feel like, oh, actually, this is the one that I love because it makes me feel good. It looks nice. And also from a conscious side as well, that they know that the products have been made in very, very good circumstances.
So how did this start? You said it started in lockdown with the seed of that idea. Then how did
Yes.
that develop?
So basically, it was just one of those crazy moments where you just have an idea. You're like, oh, actually, like, I'm wearing all these different brands for all these amazing other people, and why not start my own brand? And once that seed was planted, you're like, okay, so what's the next step? So I want my own brand. Like, what do I need to do? And that's how I kind of did my research, watched like a million YouTube tutorials, and luckily I had quite a few friends of mine that have, like brands and fashion companies here around in Manchester. Of course, nothing equestrian or performance wise, but fashion brands. So I asked them, and they're like, "Gosh, well, you need to find designers. You need to sit down with designers. You need to find factories, and like the whole list of things that I needed to do and to find. Like it was quite overwhelming. But I was determined. I was like, right, I got this. I can do this. I have loads of time, and in that time, I was just pregnant with my little girl. And I was like, oh, actually, this is going to work. I'm going to not going to be riding as much, and I can focus on the brand, and I can do all of this. So basically, I just started to do research, go online, ask around, ask the professionals around me from my friends that have, like their own companies and their own fashion brands, and ask their advice, and go on LinkedIn and go on YouTube and just ask people and find the right people around you and build a team. And that's basically what I've done. It literally started from, I want a brand. What do I need to do? I asked people around me who are in the same kind of industry, and then that's how it basically how the ball started rolling.
I love that. I think sometimes we
Yeah.
do look at these big things we want to achieve and it's just too overwhelming. So we think, well, we're here and we want to get to here. But as you
Yes.
say, it is the research, it's the asking the questions, it's just that grit and determination um,
That's it.
to keep pushing through and achieving the next thing you need to do and learning as you go.
Yeah, well, that honestly, that I can tell you a very kind of special story, but it's not that special. I've started with an idea. I started asking around people that I know in my network that could possibly help me or can just guide me in the right direction. And that's how I've done it. I've literally asked around, and I've been lucky that I have these amazing friends and people around me that are willing to help me and willing to push me in the right direction, or actually say, well, I wouldn't do it that way, focus on this. And that's what they've done, because I came up with this idea of like 20 or 30 pieces, and they're like, gosh, maybe scale it down a little bit, don't put all the colors in. And like, you need that, because you don't know, you just start. I've never had a fashion brand. I don't have that background. I've did modeling myself, and I've done music, and I did TV, and I did law, but nothing in this industry. So it was completely new to work in the textile industry, to work with factories and designers and all of these things. But I've learned along the way. It's been a process of 2.5 years where I've learned and asked questions, and made some mistakes as well along the way. But I think that's the whole part of the whole journey, I guess.
Oh, completely. So which was the first piece that you designed, or the piece that you thought, yeah, I've got to have this in my launch collection?
I think it's one of my hoodies. It's like a jacket. It's a very soft jacket, and it's one of my favorite pieces, because it's nice and soft, and it has the big embroidery on the back, and it's very Ralph Lauren. It's very kind of high end, but very technical at the same time. And I've been wearing it so much when I was competing in Spain with my horses, and even now when I wear my gym gear, I just put it on and just go to the Tesco's to do some grocery shopping. So it's one of those pieces that is exactly how I had it in my mind. It kind of, the vision was there, and when we designed it, I was so excited to get it manufactured. And we started with 3 colors, and we made it to 1 color. Because we had to tweak it. Like, the first time I received it, I was like, well, actually, I don't know if I love it as I wanted to love. Like, I want to love it, but I don't love it. So we changed the colors, and we changed bits and pieces, and now it's exactly how I wanted it to be. So I think that's one of my favorite pieces of the collection that we designed, because it's actually inspired when she was riding when she was younger. She had this beautiful red jacket on, and I loved it so much, and I wanted to recreate something like that. I was inspired by that. And like, it's one of those pieces that I know exactly how we designed it piece by piece, and how we changed it because I didn't like the color. And it's one of my favorite pieces. I think it's going to be there in all different colors for the next few years.
I love that. It just cut out to start with. Sorry, you said you were inspired by, who was the person in the red jacket?
Princess Anne.
Oh, of course. She is such an icon, isn't she?
Oh gosh, and I think especially for us horsey girls, and for the equestrian world in general, I think she's just, like, I feel like she's a perfect example of a proper horsey girl. I think most horsey girls are quite tough, like, we deal with these big animals, and we drive these big trucks, and like, you have to be quite tough. And I think from her perspective, she's a royal. She was, like, she has that kind of image, but she was quite tough, and quite, like, like, she was a proper horsey girl, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So I don't know, I have a lot of respect for her, and I love the way that she looked on a horse, and how she was riding. And she was a big inspiration for the brand when I looked back at her pictures. And yeah.
I think the fact that she rode at the King's coronation just a few weeks ago was pretty amazing as well.
Exactly. I think so. And I think as well that, like, she's still involved, and she still visits, like, like, certain events and certain venues. And yeah, I just really like her. I think I got a lot of inspiration from her when riding. And there is this picture of her that I will share with you. Is her on a horse with this beautiful red jacket on. And I don't know why, but it just caught my eye. And I was like, oh gosh, I would love to design something like that. And that's how it basically started, because I love that jacket, and it's one of my favorite pieces in the collection right now.
Love that. Now, you talked
Yeah.
about, there's some really key parts of the range in terms of they want to be wearable and comfortable, but you've obviously mentioned performance and the sustainability aspect. So could we talk about the performance and how you've built that into your range? Is it the fabrics? Is it the design? How has that worked?
Yeah. So it's the fabrics. I've worked with a special factory in Portugal that is specialized in performance wear and performance fabrics. They are one of the largest mills in Europe at the moment that are completely specialized in performance wear. So they make all these fabrics that are tested on different kind of ways, for rubbing, for sweating, for antibacterial kind of factors. All these factors are very important for them. So they make these fabrics specially for performance wear. And I visited I went to Portugal and went to the mill and went to the factory, and we checked all the fabrics and we looked, okay, this is going to work really well for base layers. Like one of my base layers has a very nice brushed kind of fabric, and that keeps you warm in winter but keeps you cool in summer. And it's very sweat absorbent. And then we have, for the breeches, we've worked with a very super soft fabric that is super stretchy. So even if you're in between sizes, you will be able to fit into it. Like, you're not going to feel like you're, like if you feel like it's too tight, it's still going to stretch and give you that kind of space. So performance wise, I really try to work with the best fabrics and best factories to reassure that the product is going to do what it needs to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess you've had lots of different samples through, you've put them through their paces as well to make sure that they're doing what you want them to do.
Yeah, I've been writing, I've been sending them back because I was like, well, actually, I don't like this. I think that, the silicone patching is rubbing off, or, I've been writing in them. I've been washing them in a washing machine way too hot just to see what's going to happen.
Mm.
I've been doing all these things. And I think that's why it took so long to get this brand off the ground, because, I just wanted it to be right. I didn't want to launch something and not be completely confident and happy about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've washed it. We've done all sorts. Like, let other girls ride in it, and of course, you will see what happens with the stitching. You will see what happens to the fabric. You will see what happens to the embroideries. All these things are so important, and I think I really try to kind of push it quite a lot to make sure that it's right.
Yes, no, that makes sense. And the sustainability, the eco-friendly credentials, how have you gone about doing that?
Well, first we started working overseas in India. I had a factory in India, and that was the first factory that I worked with. And I I just wasn't completely sure about that product that I received. I wasn't completely sure about the sustainable part. So that's when I did my research further. And I found this amazing factory in Portugal that is completely sustainable, and how they deal with wastage, how they deal with their, like people that work in the factory, with the working hours, um, all these things, they work with sun energy, like with sun panels, and they just basically like just they cover every part of being sustainable, and they make sure that not only the products are sustainable, but the work circumstances for the people that work there in the factories are good as well. And I remember when I just met them, they had some people from Ukraine in the factory working, that they offered jobs and
Oh, wow.
offered homes. So I feel like the factory is, like on a different level of making sure that all the circumstances around the clothing are just right, not only from the products, but also from the people that actually work on the products.
And why was that particularly important to you?
I I think it's always been such a big part of my, as a person, I guess. I don't eat meat. I've stopped eating meat like years ago, 6 years ago now. I always loved animals. I've always been very passionate about that kind of, vegetarian, vegan side. And I don't know. I just think we love animals. We love we love nature. So I feel like it's a little bit selfish not to think about all the other things that we consume and what we do. And for me, I always wanted to be quite aware about what I buy, how I spend my money on things. And, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't be eating meat, shouldn't be, I think everyone is entitled to do whatever they want to do. But for me, as a person, I find it quite important to, know the background of things, and, like, make sure that what I buy and what I do is, like, kind of sustainable and as much as possible. I mean, I still wear leather, so it's one of those things. It's a battle that I will probably, as a person, always have in my head. But if I'm creating something, if I'm putting another brand out there, I want to make sure that I kind of did as much as possible to make it as fair as possible for the world as well.
Yeah, absolutely. 'Cause that's the thing, isn't it? The choices that we make when it comes to where we spend our money, so we kind of vote with our money,
Yeah,
can have massive impacts. I know, obviously, the coronavirus. Gosh, when that all locked down, it was horrific. But there were some amazing stories about nature kind of coming back when it wasn't being
yeah.
as, I can't think of the right word, but there was amazing things that were happening when just the way that we live changed and was kinder to the environment.
Well, that's it. And I think, like, it's hard in a world that we that we live right now, it's hard to be completely sustainable and think about everything else. But I think for me as a person, I just wanted to create a new brand and put a new brand out there that kind of, like ticks those boxes as much as possible. And I really tried my best to make sure that it does tick the boxes, and it is sustainable as much as possible. And I kind of, like help in that kind of sense, that I put a brand out there that you can look nice, but that you don't feel like you've done it in the wrong way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, completely. So
Yeah.
talk to us about the launch range, because you've literally just launched. You're off to your first event very shortly. So
Yes.
if we don't know anything about the brand, what are we expecting to see? Kind of classics, trends? What are we going for?
I went for a very kind of classic way. I've made it a little bit glamorous. I put a really nice gold details. Like all the trims have been completely customized. I really wanted that kind of soft, elegant touch to each product, but then still keep it very classy and clean. I work with navy, taupe colors, gray, blacks. So I didn't go crazy with colors. I just went very classy and very elegant and safe. I would say safe, because I think that's the colors that we wear mostly, don't we? Like when we ride, we don't wear crazy colors. You would wear probably one or two pieces in summer, or you would have like a red jacket, but mainly our colors are quite, like neutral. So I went for a very kind of neutral color pattern. But then I just made sure that there is this elegance of, like nice elegant details, of a little bit of sparkle, and just to make you feel like you're wearing like a very elegant, classy piece, but then with a little bit of, like sparkle to it.
I think those colours are great because they are that timeless classic, which actually does fit in well with the sustainability ethos as well. That it's not the colour for this season, and next season it'll be a out of fashion. Those colours you just see all of the time. If they can be paired with a t-shirt or a top that is more, on brand but kind of fades quicker, that's something. But those key pieces are so important to get right, aren't they?
Oh gosh, definitely. And I think that's what I really hope, that people would wear it like a few seasons, like if you want to wear the breeches like a few seasons, and if you want to wear the jackets, and I really hope they do, because that helps to the sustainable side of the brand as well. But also you feel like you get your money worth out of it, like you
Yeah.
buy something that costs a certain amount, and you want to be able to wear it like a few seasons. And when you buy something that's black or navy or taupe, you would always be able to wear it. And I think it's that classy kind of timeless piece in your wardrobe that you want to have there, that you could always put on, even if you walk the dog, or if you, like go to the Tesco's, if you're not riding, or if you're just grooming, or you know what I mean. Like it's nice to have those nice neutral colors in your wardrobe that you can wear season after season.
Definitely. Now, obviously, although your brand's only just launched, you've been on this journey for quite a while now. So what would you say have been any kind of lows or surprises along the journey so far?
Oh, so many. I think so many. Every time I think I've got it right, you're like, oh, you don't have it right. You get like a new surprise. Now, I think first of all, like, I mean, you start a brand, you work with different designers. I've worked with them like really closely. Like, I don't know how to make designs. I just draw something on paper, so they make it for you. And then I had one factory, wasn't happy with one factory, moved to the other factory, and there have been surprises and challenges along the way. And it's been 2.5 years now that we've started this whole project, and I'm probably going to have loads more surprises and challenges coming along the way. But I think it's all worth it when you see the product, and like you hear the feedback from people. They say, oh gosh, I really like the quality. I love the colors, and I love the details. Then it feels like it was all worth it because people notice it. So I think, yeah, it's been challenging. It's been hard work. And I think I underestimated it a lot. I was like, oh, I'm going to start this brand and it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to make all these different things, and then I'm going to start a new collection. But then the whole fitting process comes, and the sampling process starts, and then fabrics, and then all these things that you don't think about happen, which is part of the process.
Mm.
But it's it's hard, but I think the feedback is the most important. If you get good feedback, you very quickly forget about all those moments, I guess.
I was going to say, what have the highs been so far?
I think the feedback, every time I show the product to people, they were like, "Oh gosh, it looks amazing," and like I love the fact that people notice all the details that gone into the products, because that has been the hardest work, to make sure that the zip pullers are right, that the colors are right, that the embroidery is done nicely, the lining of the jackets, all those little details that I've put so much time and effort into. When I give it to people to wear or to try or to see, they notice it, and that's the biggest high for me, that people appreciate the product.
And again, thinking back to that process, if there's someone that's listening that thinks that they'd like to start their own brand, have you got any words of wisdom that you've sort of you've definitely earned your stripes having developed this for 2.5 years, so things that you wish you knew, if you could go back to past you when you were starting on your journey, that would just been really useful?
I think take your time. I think I would say just take your time, do your research, and ask around. I think we would all be surprised how many people we have in our own network that could guide us in the right direction. And to just ask. I think in the beginning I just wanted to do it all myself, and I very quickly learned that actually asking the question and asking for advice and in your own network helps a lot, to kind of learn from their mistakes and learn from their expertise, so you don't have to do it yourself, if that makes sense. Like, I
Yeah.
just think sometimes just looking around in your network and asking people that have been there or have something similar or just have their own businesses, will help a lot. And give yourself the time. I kind of wanted everything the same moment, and I pushed myself. And actually, if I took my time a little bit more, I probably would have saved myself a lot of headache.
I think they're really good points, because we want to do things independently. We want to make our own brand and forge our own path, but that doesn't mean we need to go it alone. It doesn't.
No.
And I know I've had a experience last week where I was really struggling with something. I spoke to a friend and they went, "Oh yeah, I know her." I went, "What do you mean you know them?" And actually, if I just asked her, it would have been much easier. But you just, you assume that you've got to do it the hard way, otherwise you can't do it. And actually, why are we putting ourselves through that? There's enough challenges out there.
Yeah, and I think that's so funny because I do it as well all the time, and I just think people are willing to help. If someone asks you for some help, you would be more than happy to say, "Oh, actually, do it this
Completely.
way," or "Don't do that." And I'm the same. Like, I'm always there to help everyone because why wouldn't I? Like, it's one of those things. It comes naturally to you, and I just think when I asked my friends for help, they were like, "Oh no, use this person," or "Don't do that. That's a waste of time." And like, it's just so nice to have that support around you and just ask the question, because I think you would be surprised how many people were actually there. They will help you, and they will guide you in the right direction as well. So I think when you start, just ask the question, do your research, and like, don't be afraid to just say, "Well, actually, I don't know. Like, what do I need to do? Like, how do I need to do it?"
Hmm. Actually, I know I've been asked lots of advice in the past, and I'm sure you have as well. It's when it's someone who's actually got that connection with you, you are really pleased to help them. Like, you feel like you want to. It's a nice thing to do, isn't it, to help a friend out, essentially. I don't know
Yes,
why
definitely.
when we're in that position we don't appreciate it, but we'll happily do it the other way. It's a funny one, isn't it?
I know, I know. I think it's a little bit of I think it's probably like a little shame factor as well, I guess. Like, oh, I don't want to kind of, and also like, I don't want to bother people, and I should know, I should do it myself. I think there's a lot of voices in our heads that
Hmm.
kind of, like, just make us feel a certain way that we don't want to ask the question. But I think honestly, like, I was once I asked the questions to my friends, and once I did my research, and you just feel a little bit like there's a big weight off your shoulders, because you're not in this situation yourself, and people had these same problems and people had these same mistakes, and you just learn very quickly that we're all on this journey together, like in the same kind of way, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
everyone is trying to build something, and everyone is trying to learn, and like, along the way, if you help people, and if you just share that information, it's so refreshing, I think.
Couldn't agree more. And the
Yeah.
patience thing as well. I think so many people, particularly if you're kind of an entrepreneur, you want to crack on. We're not the best at the patience, are we?
No. Oh gosh, no. You just wanted to, because you have that vision in your head and how it should go. And I think once it doesn't go that certain way, you're like, well, actually, it should have gone like this 2 weeks ago, and you should have done this like last week. And I think you push yourself a lot. But then if you look back how much you have achieved, in like a certain amount of time, you actually look back and you didn't do that bad, did you? Like, because like I said, for me, I started this brand like with an idea, and if I look 2 years later where I am now, it's there's been a lot of little steps in between that I had to make to get here where I am right now. And I think patience is probably a very difficult thing as an entrepreneur, I guess, because you just want things happening right now, same moment, same day, if possible.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So what's to come for Equidae? What are we going to see over the next year, few years? What's the big vision?
The big vision is to, like get like a good name out there as a brand and to be respected like quality wise. I think quality for me is the most important thing. And I just want to, like get the brand out there and have people like, get them to wear it, just wear it and give me the feedback. And, like just I want them to feel the quality of the product. And I just really want to work with different athletes, different people, and not only athletes, but also like I'm an amateur rider, like I love nice clothes. I wear them every day. I just want people to wear it and to, enjoy wearing the brand. And I think for me as a brand, I really want to get a bigger collection. I want to create a team around me where, I can move a little bit quicker. There comes the patient thing again, but you know what I mean? Like where I can move quicker, where I don't have to wait so long for things, where not everything is depending on me from the marketing side, from all these little factors that I'm doing now by myself. I would really like to, like extend the brand, make the brand bigger, and work with different people, work with different athletes, and get an even better product out there in a few years, and just make the collection bigger. I really want to make the collection a lot bigger than what it is right now, and have all these different pieces that are, like contributing to the equestrian world, where people have all these nice clothes to wear and that are functional and doing the job. Like I said, like that's the most important thing for me, I guess.
What does the name mean?
Equidae means the revolution of the horse, basically. It's all horse families together. So if you Google Equidae, it will be like zebras, donkeys, all horse-related families are basically named Equidae. So how the horse was 2,000-3,000 years ago to how it is now, the revolution of that whole process, that animal is called Equidae, basically. Yeah.
And is that then sort of translated with your brand in terms of for everyone?
Yes, definitely. I feel like because it's the revolution of the horse through all the years and all the horse related families, I feel like we're in like how we were like wearing our clothes as riders 10-15 years ago is completely different how it is right now. We wear all these different colors, different fabrics. It's much more of a sportswear brand. We have leggings that we never had before, like 10 years ago. We never had leggings. We never had all these base layers. You would just wear some breeches with a top or, like a hoodie or whatever, and you would go riding. The only time when you would actually make a proper effort is when you're competing and you're having a jacket on. But all the other things in between is just breeches were probably the most important things. So I feel like there has been a revolution as well in the way that we dress at the moment, and that the way that we, like use the clothes at the moment as well, because a lot of the clothes that we wear right now, they look quite trendy, don't they? You can go and pick your kids up from school in them because they look really, really nice. And before they were very, like basic, if I would say. So I feel like there's a revolution in the fashion industry of the equestrian side as well, but also in the way that we look at clothes in general, like I said, from the sustainable side of it. And I think there's a big shift going on at the moment in the world, how we look at fashion and fast fashion and things like that. So I feel like there's a lot going on. So when that name came up, I sat down with a team, and I just loved the fact that it had so much meanings in one word.
No, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to share with us today about your fabulous brand or your very good self before I ask you all the places we can find you and the brand online?
Oh gosh, well, I think just follow my journey. I think it's been a journey. It's been a very personal journey where I started this brand as an idea as a vision that I had, and I became a mom along the way. I've been competing with my own horses, so there has been lots happening in my life, and it's been a journey that has been with me the whole time. And I feel like it's probably going to be an even better journey for the future, where I'm going to hopefully extend the brand and make it bigger, and work on that vision that I had a few years ago. And I'm just going to be probably at loads of events at the moment. I'm going to be working at Wolfsworth. I'm going to be there and talking about the brand, showing my side of the passion of it, and all the big shows. I'm going to be there, probably not riding this time, but in a sense, the brand and talking about the brand. So different way of going to horse shows at the moment.
Is there a list of all the shows you're going to on your website?
Not yet, no. So the first one is of course Wolfsworth. That's coming up this week, which has been of course another new chapter of having a brand. I feel like it's been different chapters all the time. So now we have a chapter of getting the pop-up store and how I wanted it to look, and how I wanted to represent the brand. And so I feel like there's been loads of chapters and loads of journeys happening at the moment and happened already. So I'm just very excited. I feel like it's going to be one of those things for long term that I really want to make sure I do it right and put all my time and effort into, because I'm so passionate about it. I think it's probably was one of those things that was meant to be for me. Like looking at my background from fashion, modeling, and loving horses and being so passionate about horses, it kind of makes sense that I put these two worlds together and make my own brand. So yeah, I'm just excited. So I think people just need to follow my journey, I guess, and just see where I am with all the shows.
And where can we follow you online? What's your websites? What's your social media handles? Where can we follow you?
So you can find me on Instagram, Nermina Pieters-Mekic. Not the easiest name. I guess you can hear my accent. I'm Dutch, of course. I'm actually Bosnian, but I grew up in the Netherlands, and now I'm in the UK. So it's been it's a little bit complicated, but you can find me on Instagram on Nermina Pieters-Mekic, and on TikTok as well under the same name. And the website is called Equidae London. You can find Equidae as Equidae London on Instagram as well. So yeah, I'm very easy to find.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to see your brand continue to grow and be amazing. And yeah, really excited to follow your journey.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure and an honor to be here, because I've listened to your podcasts and I've heard some very inspirational stories, and it's just really nice to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.